Buckingham Palace, the heart of the British monarchy, a fortress of tradition, protocol, and centuries of carefully guarded secrets. But what if I told you that behind those gilded gates, a different kind of business was being conducted? While Queen Elizabeth II was in residence, while the world watched the royal family navigate scandal after scandal, a private tour was being arranged. Not for dignitaries, not for heads of state, for businessmen, cryptocurrency miners, Americans with a venture that would soon collapse, taking millions of dollars with it. This is the story of how a duke, a duchess, and a failed Bitcoin scheme became entangled in one of the most troubling chapters of recent royal history. This is the story you haven't heard. Picture this, a 5-star hotel in Knightsbridge, one of London's most exclusive neighborhoods. Two men, Jay Bloom and Michael Evers, waiting in the lobby. They're not tourists, they're here on business. And their host, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the Duke of York, the Queen's second son. A car pulls up. Not just any car, Andrew's car. They're driven through the streets of London, past the tourists, past the guards in their bearskin hats, and into the inner courtyard of Buckingham Palace itself. Security has been briefed. They're prepared as if for a royal visitor. A female greeter meets them at the entrance. And then they're inside Buckingham Palace, while the Queen, the longest reigning monarch in British history, was at home. What were they doing there? What business could justify this kind of access? The answer lies with the woman who was once at the center of royal life, and who would soon be at the center of the scandal, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, Andrew's ex-wife. She was connected to these men, connected to their company, Pegasus Group Holdings, a cryptocurrency mining firm promising revolutionary solar-powered Bitcoin generation. And she wasn't just connected, she was their brand ambassador. Her price? Up to £1.4 million. But that tour of Buckingham Palace, that was just the beginning. After the palace tour, Bloom and Evers were escorted to St. James's Palace, another royal residence, for an event called Pitch Palace, Andrew's own entrepreneurial initiative. And then, dinner with Andrew, with Sarah Ferguson, with Princess Beatrice, the Queen's granddaughter. Think about that for a moment. These businessmen, associated with a cryptocurrency venture that hadn't even launched yet, were dining with royalty multiple times, in multiple countries. What did Bloom and Evers see during that palace tour? Some say they met the Queen herself. A brief hello and goodbye, no photographs allowed. Bloom has disputed this. He initially denied it entirely. Later, he admitted being shown to Andrew's office, thanked Andrew and Ferguson, but meeting the Queen, that remained murky. Yet social media posts from a second palace visit in July 2019 referenced meeting HRH, Her Royal Highness. Someone was meeting royalty, and someone was gaining unprecedented access. But why? What was really being sold here? Was it Bitcoin mining technology, or was it something far more valuable? Access itself. October 2019, the Arizona desert. Helicopters slice through the dry air, landing on barren land where a revolutionary project is about to be unveiled. Solar-powered cryptocurrency mining. The promise of clean energy meets cutting-edge blockchain technology. It sounds almost too good to be true. And standing there, among the construction equipment, the hard hats, the armed guards, is Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, flown in as one of 2 celebrity guests. Jay Bloom introduces her as a personal friend. She praises the company. She talks about philanthropic potential, bringing this technology to Africa, to communities without power. The cameras flash, the shovels gleam in the desert sun. This is the dream, but dreams can become nightmares. Pegasus Group Holdings promised to deploy 16,000 solar generators. They promised revolutionary returns. They promised a future. What did they deliver? 615 generators. Just 615. The amount of cryptocurrency actually mined? $33,700 at $79. $33,000 against millions invested. By April 2021, investors had sued. They were awarded $4.1 million. Jay Bloom, the man who had walked the halls of Buckingham Palace, who had dined with princes and duchesses, was now seeking an appeal. The project had failed, spectacularly, completely, and the questions began to swirl. What did Andrew know? What did Ferguson know? And perhaps most troubling of all, what were they paid? Let's talk about money. Because in October 2019, the same month as that Arizona desert launch, Sarah Ferguson signed a contract, not with Pegasus directly, but with a British company called Alphabet Capital, a company linked to Caravan Parks. Yes, Caravan Parks. The Pegasus documents describe Ferguson's role: engage clients, engage investors, develop strategic relationships, support philanthropic activities. In July 2019, 2018, Ferguson introduces Bloom to Michael Evers at a hotel and casino project in Greece. Evers, another businessman, another investor, joins the venture. By 2019, Pegasus pivots to solar-powered crypto mining. Ferguson helps close deals. She attends meetings in Los Angeles. She's working with Bloom and Evers in London on a potential listing on the alternative investment market, and the royal access grows. Tours of Royal Lodge in Windsor, Andrew and Ferguson's former marital home, where Andrew still lived. Multiple dinners with Ferguson and her family in London, in other countries. The lines between business and friendship blur, between royal prestige and commercial venture, between duty and profit. January 2022, Buckingham Palace makes an announcement that sends shockwaves through Britain and the world. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is stripped of his royal titles. He will lose the Windsor mansion. The reason? His connections to Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted sex offender whose crimes had finally caught up with the royal family. The palace is taking action, drawing a line, protecting the monarchy. But what about Pegasus? What about the palace tours, the business deals, the payments from mysterious British companies? Andrew and Sarah Ferguson were contacted, asked to explain their involvement. They did not respond. The silence speaks volumes, because this isn't just about cryptocurrency. It's not just about a failed business venture in the Arizona desert. This is about what happens when royalty becomes a commodity, when access to the crown, access to Buckingham Palace, to the Queen herself, becomes something that can be traded, sold, leveraged for business deals. How did businessmen from a cryptocurrency firm walk through the doors of Buckingham Palace while the Queen was home? How did they dine with princesses? How did a duchess with no expertise in solar energy or blockchain technology command over £1 million? How did a duke receive £60,500 that no one will explain? And perhaps the most haunting question of all, if this is what we know, what don't we know? The generators sit in the Arizona desert, silent. Most of them never delivered. The investors have their judgment, $4.1 million, but many will never see their money again. Jay Bloom and Michael Evers are no longer walking the halls of palaces, no longer dining with royalty. And Sarah Ferguson, she continues her work, her charities, her books, her public appearances. Andrew remains in disgrace, not for Pegasus, but for Epstein. The palace has moved on. The headlines have faded, but the questions remain. In the end, this story isn't really about cryptocurrency or solar panels. It's about something far more valuable and far more fragile. Trust, integrity, the invisible contract between the crown and the people. When those doors to Buckingham Palace opened for businessmen with briefcases full of Bitcoin dreams, something was lost. Something that no amount of cryptocurrency, no matter how it's mined, can ever buy back. The palace tour is over. The guests have gone home, but the scandal, that's written into history now, and history has a long memory.